family. Today I'm finally getting around to making my cantenna video. I've been trying to do this for a long time, and through various health issues I just haven't got around to it, so I'm going to do it today. The reason I'm making this cantenna is it's basically something I've wanted to make for a long time, to test how far you can actually pick up Wi-Fi, etc. In the future, after various operations, I'm hoping to get a camper van, and me and the kids and the wife would like to go around here, there and everywhere, but I'd like to still document what we do. And so I will be able to edit within the van, obviously, but to upload, I don't want to be constantly paying for more and more data from my service provider. So it'd be nice to be able to sort of, rock up to a McDonald's, or, a distance away from a McDonald's, or different places that offer free Wi-Fi, and just utilize their free Wi-Fi from a distance. If it works, brilliant. If it doesn't, well, I tried. Now, I've made antennas in the past, different sizes, different styles for different various things, and I think I've only put one, possibly two, on this channel. And the irony of the one I'm thinking of, which I'll link to here, or is it? I think it's, I don't know. I spent weeks and weeks trying to get it right, and trying to get all of the measurements right, and doing lots of different calculations and so on. And I got that video out, and someone mentioned Andrew McNeil, and they were like, "Oh, you've taken this from Andrew McNeil." And I was like, "Well, I've never even heard of him." Went onto his channel, looked through a lot of it, and I thought to myself, I could have saved myself so much time if I had gone to his channel, and he had all the measurements I would have needed. I got the measurements, I think, almost dead on, so I did really well. But it took me ages, whereas I could have just looked at his videos and done it. This time I'm not making that mistake, and I'm watching, I'm following basically one of his videos on making the cantenna. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. This guy knows anything about, he's probably a radio wave, He knows all about this kind of stuff, and he'll go into great detail. But you can learn a hell of a lot from his channel, so I'd advise checking that out after watching all of this, of course. But anyway, let's get on. I'll show you what we need, and we'll go from there. For this project, you will need a toilet brush holder, the metal kind. It has to be metal. I have seen people use Pringles tubes and various other things, but this is what I'm trying with. You will need a wireless USB Wi-Fi card with an SMA connector. You'll need the SMA male. Now I've chosen this one, and I'll show you a bit closer. This is the one that Andrew McNeil uses. There's loads of different types out there. This I found, and it's not quite right, and I'll show you what I mean in a bit, but I think I can sort that out. And then you need a tripod of some kind. This is, ironically enough, is the exact one he uses in his video, but I prefer the look of this one, so I'm not sure what I use yet. He also used something very similar to this, or he might have used this exact same one. Now, I've had this for about 5 or 6 years. I've had this for about 2 or 3 years. These weren't got for this project. But when I saw him making the cantenna, I thought, well, actually, all I'm going to need is this and this. I've got everything else. So I can't tell you how much or where I got this from, because I cannot remember. This I just got, I think it was from a charity shop or something, and they just had it on the shelf for like 50p, and I picked it up. But yeah, all you need though is just any wireless capture card, basically, as long as you've got the SMA connector. Right, we'll have a quick look at this close up, and then I'll show you what sort of tools I'm going to be using. Okay, this is the 4-hole chassis mount SMA male connector, and it had a metal post all the way through it, but it was just a solid post, and I needed to actually solder bits to it. So what I'm going to do, what I did was I pulled the post out, and I'm going to sort of, hopefully, knock together what we need. But I'll show you that as we go. The tools I'll be using, I might end up using other ones as well as I go along, but the main ones will be my Dremel for drilling holes and for sanding down a few bits. My wireless Parkside soldering iron. I've done a review on this, which I can put a link up there or there, not sure. By the way, do you like my pokey device? My daughter bought it for me, bless her heart. She knew I wanted something pokey, and she spent stupid amounts of money on it, which I secretly put back in her purse, so she didn't actually spend any money. Anyway, I digress just slightly. A pop rivet gun And then my little knife thing, because I use that in most occasions. I don't know if I'll need it, but I put it there anyway to give him some notoriety. Anyway, let's get on. This is a few miscellaneous things I'll need. These are all different connectory bits that I'm going to have to try and fit the tripod to the actual cantenna. These are bits and pieces from a Dremel and some pop rivets. I got various connectors and so on in case I need them because of the other one doesn't work. I forgot to mention I've got different pieces of wire, copper wire here, solid core wire, and I'm going to just see which one fits best. Okay, a few things I forgot that are very important. We've got digital calipers. Oh, pointy device. Better. We've got some masking tape. That's just for marking out. You could use various other things, but it's up to you. Oh, over here. Stay. I've got some needle nose tweezers for holding certain bits because it gets very small and very thingy when you're dealing with some of that stuff. I've got some wire cutters and some heat shrink tubing. You need the tiny stuff for covering the wires that you're going to be using to stop them shorting out on the actual toilet brush holder. There'll probably be more things I've missed out or forgotten, but I will point them out as we go along. Okay, so this is the one I was able to get, but it is the wrong connector. This side's correct, but we needed this side to be a female, and it's obviously just a solid piece of metal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix and match a few of the other bits and bobs I've got. I love making antennas, as you'll be able to see by the amount of rubbish I've got, or connectors I should say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this whole thing, and I'm going to dig through this and find something that we can put in place. So give me a second. Let's try and get some focus on this. I got one of these, which is gone forever. Which is a hollow tube with exactly the same pointy bit as that. I'm not sure what any of these bits are called, to be honest. I know that's an SMA connector, but that's about all. So what I'm going to do is and I grind the end of this into a point. I'm going to solder it inside this. I'm trying to get this to focus. Yeah, so I'm going to solder these two together and then I can place it back in. So I'm going to grind off the end quickly and I'll be back. Okay, so that's done, and that now just fits in there like that. So what I'm going to do now is solder those two things together. I want to put a little dot of solder in this end and then a little bit on that, heat them both up and stick them together. Out of pure laziness, I'm using my wireless soldering iron, so I've just got to wait a couple of minutes for it to heat up. It's really good, but I can't be bothered to plug my actual soldering iron in, although I'm going to need it in a bit. Okay, I'm going to put a dob of solder on here, then I'm just going to heat this up without touching it with the solder for a sec, and then just whop a little bit of solder there. That'll do. Same with this, heat it up a little bit. Little dob of solder, way too much in fact. Might have to clean that up a bit in a sec. Okay, now the fun bit. Try and attach these two together. Okay, now we're going to just heat this and this up together. There we go. As I say, I might have to clean it up a little bit. Okay, so there it is. It's not the neatest looking thing in the world. As I say, I could give it a quick sand, but I don't think I can be bothered. But we'll see. If it doesn't fit where it needs to go, then obviously I'll clean it up a little bit. So the next thing we need to deal with is this little puppy. Okay, to deal with this, it's as simple as grab yourself a small pair of pliers and pull the bit out. Okay, now our bit that we've just made, do the exact opposite and plonk it in. Wrong way there, you moron. Okay, it's a bit too snug anyway, so I'm just going to sand this down quickly. And there we go, it just slides in. Back to where the original was. Need to straighten this up a bit. Next thing, I need to get rid of this plastic sleeving around here because it won't fit inside the cantenna. There you go. Simple, off with a razor blade, job done. Right, this part here has to be exactly 31 centimeters. And this ruler, like all good rulers, doesn't start at 0. So where are my calipers? Okay, so I've got my digital calipers and I've got it to 31, and what I'm going to do is measure it out and cut it dead on 31. Okay, so there it is. It's our driven element, and what we need to do now is shove some heat shrink tubing on. Okay, if you've ever looked at a toilet roll brush holder, which I'm sure all of us have paid loads of attention to, you will notice there's a seam down down one side. And obviously this is going to be an easier place to drill because it's flatter here, and also it hides any of the drilling and any of the bits when it's at the bottom, which means you've hidden the seam at the bottom. What we need to do first off is measure along here for where we're going to put the driven element. But all of these have an indent and it's slightly different on most. Now I've measured this one. What was this one? This dent is 5.5 millimeters. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to measure up here 51.4 millimeters. However, because of the indent here, which is 5.5 on this one, they're all different, so make sure you measure it. You need to add that to the 51.4, which will make it about 56.4-ish. It's a little bit over 56.4, but we're not worried about half a millimeter. So first thing I'm going to do, grab some masking tape, plonk it along the line so I can use this to mark out my holes. Don't need to be that long. I just thought, hell, I've got loads, I'll be extravagant. I've just worked it out actually properly, and it's just under 58 mil. So I'm actually going to do that. So 50, it's about there. Okay, so there is where I've got to drill my hole. It's going to be a 2 millimeter hole to avoid the driven element from touching the sides and shorting it all out. Although we've already got the heat shrink tubing on, that should avoid that anyway. Just another safety precaution. I would advise drilling it with a Dremel. However, as you'll see, mine has a sanding bit on because I need that in a minute, and I can't be bothered to change it. So I'm going to drill it with a normal drill. It will be the revolutions per minute slower, so it won't be as neat. But you know, take your time, and you can use anything. You could use a screwdriver if you really wanted. Okay, there you go. As simple as that. Driven element will sit in here like so. Perfect little fit. Now the next thing you want to do, because I'm going to do exactly what Andrew McNeil did, which is I'm going to shave off the paint here, and I'm going to actually solder the bulkhead connector directly to the cantenna. So I need to sand this area. So first I'm going to make a few lines around it so I know the size. There we go. And now just to sand it all out. I will save your ears that bit, but I'll be back in a sec. Okay, that's done. Perfectly beautiful and neat. Alright, let's just plonk that in and show you something. I've made it bigger on all the sides so that I can actually solder this in around. And what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to sand off all the edges so that I can actually do a proper connection to the can. Okay, try to get it in a certain angle. Right, now I'm just going to solder this to the can and I'll be back. Okay, I have soldered it to the can, and in Andrew McNeil's video, he says that it's really simple to do and you don't need a very expensive soldering iron, it doesn't have to be too hot, etc. I tried it with 2 of my cheap, crappy soldering irons, and I could not get it to adhere at all. I actually had to use my solder station. So whether he's got a different soldering iron or a different, maybe the actual material that this is made of is different, but I had to get mine up to 350 degrees C before it would even start to adhere. So anyway, the next thing I want to do is connect a stand to it, and I'm going to use exactly the same way as he did. What's the point in changing at this point? And he used these corner brackets. Again, I had these lying around, and he uses 3. I only had 3. I don't know why I had 3 left over from something, but it just seems to be this whole project has been designed purely so I can do it, you know? Okay, for this, I'm just going to arbitrarily choose an area and just drill my first hole. Now, the reason I'm drilling a hole is Andrew McNeil sets his up like this. So these 2 would connect into the cantenna, and then this one you thread and you screw onto the tripod. So it's like this. But obviously I won't be able to get one of these connect in because it will be covered by the other one. So I'm going to drill a hole and connect one, and then I'm going to connect the other one up, and so on. So let me drill here, I think. Just there, yeah. That'll do. Right. 1. That way, possibly. Let's have a look. Is that about the centre? Or do we want it at the back? Yeah, no, we'll do it at the centre. Right. There's 1. Now I'm just going to pop rivet this. If you don't have a pop rivet gun, then you probably could get away with using nuts and bolts, but it might be a little bit difficult to be able to, well, maybe for me it would be difficult for me to get my hand in to hold the actual bolt or screw in place. And then you'd have the problem with it coming free after a while, I would say. See, I personally think that would be in the way. But this is what he's done. Right, well, if he doesn't worry about it, I'm not going to. But if I find there's any problems, then I might drill this out, and then I might move it slightly to one side. I'm not 100% sure yet. Right, next one. I'm going to put this, where's the other bit? There. So, this we connect together like that. Whoop. Right, last one. Okay, now to screw in the, to thread a screw on that. What size is our tripod? Where's it gone? Where have I hidden it? Oh, where have I hidden it? It's underneath your div. Jeezy crazy. Okay, that's a 6mm thread on that one. It's that one, isn't it? Yeah. Right, I'm going to tap at this hole and I'll be back. Okay, there we go. You can cover this end up. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to go and test this right now, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, that's it done. Complete. And it works really well. I'm able to get, just from, I've only pointed it in one direction, but 21 networks with this and 10 with my normal network card. My normal network card's pretty good actually, so it's actually quite an improvement. One thing I didn't show is inside the actual SMA connector, there is the point sticking out. You need to cut that off so that when you screw this in, they meet, and that's all you have to do, and it works absolutely fine. But if you buy the proper SMA connector that is the actual female to female kind of bit, then you won't have to have any problems with that. But I'm really, really happy with this. I'm going to do probably some more experimenting with it, and see what ranges I can get and work out whose networks are what, and then go from there. I know that there's a post office down the road, and I could work out how far that is and see if I can pick up the post office network. Things like that, and I'd just like to do some tests. But that's me done for today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.